Devil's lover. Her name was Yasmin. She was not only very beautiful, but also possessed of extraordinary attractiveness, but the Shabab body is not one in hundreds and thousands, but one in millions. Youth is a beauty in its place, if beauty comes in the days of Shabab. Doomsday is embodied. Her beauty was exemplary. She was a burning ember. When she passed by the road or went to an event, men would be able to see her as if lightning had struck them. She did not move away from his face and face. Her friends said that she should not destroy her beauty in future by getting a job or marrying a common man. Hearing her words, she arrived at such a ceremony with the dream of becoming a heroine in her eyes. Every eye there was sighing at the sight of her growing youth, every man there was waiting to face her for just a moment. But in this crowded gathering there was one such person who was sitting silently watching all this. This person's name was Nawab Jassim. The next morning, Jassim was at her door. When he introduced himself, Hasina took him inside the house. "Tell me, how did Jassim come?" She thought that maybe Jassim came here to offer her a film. Jassim's personality was a little different from other men. He was more interested in her personality than her head. Jassim, without wasting his time in questions here and there, came straight to the point. "If you were present at this event yesterday, there is a strong possibility that you must have known me." Well, who did not know Jassim? He was a famous businessman of this city. Do you really want to step into the world of films? Yes, of course, I have a firm intention and I also have a sincere desire to make my future bright. Listen to me carefully and attentively. Jassim started saying, "It is not necessary that you become a successful and famous movie star. Good looks alone are not a guarantee for success. Luck also plays a part in it. How many beautiful girls came to this city, but fate did not support them. They lost not only their wealth and fame but also their honor. Showbiz is actually a jungle. There are hungry sheep sitting on the steps. Unless a girl or a woman shows respect, she does not get a chance in any film. Losing is the first condition to get here. Girls come and go in showbiz. How many stars stick to the sky of film industry and then sink? Stars are meant to sink. A woman's position and honor is within the four walls of the house. A woman becomes a prostitute in showbiz. Black nights are his destiny. If you want honor, fame and wealth, then hold my hand. I will put all this in your cradle without any effort." Which girl in the city could refuse to become the wife of the richest person like Jassim? He also held Jassim's hand. She became his life partner. Both of them went to Kashmir Valley to celebrate their honeymoon. After returning, both of them spent a night on the beach of Karachi. It was the night of the 14th. Jassim's seaside was a great hit. That night, there was no one on the beach except the two of them. Both of them took advantage of that. They both floated till midnight. When they were tired, they would lie naked on the sand. They would talk lovingly and stare at the moon. This moonlight had made it another day. While bathing in the sea, swimming and lying on the sand, she had felt that someone other than her husband was very close to her. He continued to feel the presence and smell of this unseen entity. He was startled several times and looked in every direction in an imperceptible manner and shook it off as his illusion. She was not a homosexual. But she was convinced that demons exist. He was remembering many things of his mother. His mother did not let him sleep under the open sky at night, especially on moonlit nights. She used to say that devils fly at night. Therefore, young girls should not sleep under the open sky. These evil spirits kill beautiful young girls and then make their lives hell. He felt once again that the unseen entity was very close to him. With the idea of dispelling his delusion, he immediately extended his hand towards the place where he felt the existence of the unseen entity, but there was nothing there. There was a gap. After a while, when they both came inside the hut and laid down on the bed to sleep, she was getting very restless. His body was tired and his joints were aching. She soon fell into a deep sleep. In a way, there was a shadow on him. Her husband had also fallen asleep earlier. Suddenly she woke up from a deep sleep and the room was dark. She felt that she was in the arms of her husband. But in the second moment, he felt a strange smell and then his whole body felt a sensation. This smell was not her husband's body at all, and this body was very hard and rough. When his body moved, the grip of the blind loosened. He immediately reached out and switched on the table lamp placed on the head, which spread light in the room. He saw that there was no one on the bed. Her husband was sleeping apart from her. She thought it was her illusion and then fell into a deep sleep. The next day she returned home as her husband had to go to Lahore for 5 days on an important work. After dinner, the maid also went to sleep. After talking to 2 friends on the phone, she sat down to watch television. A mysterious and scary movie was being shown on his favorite channel. He did not like horror movies. This movie was filmed on the story of a demon. As soon as the thought of the unseen entity came, he turned off the television. Then he put on a nightgown and turned on the night bulb. And lay down on the bed to sleep. Soon sleep overtook him. But the next moment she woke up. He did not understand the reason for the broken sleep. The thought that came to his mind was of the unseen entity, whose presence he had felt on the beach on a moonlit night. Now that she started thinking about this unseen entity, she realized that it was not an illusion. There really was an unseen entity. He was probably a demon who was passing by. Even when she was in a state of sleep, the unseen entity held her in his arms. The concept of which was very horrible and heartbreaking. Was he a gentle type of jinn who was neither emotional nor did he act arbitrarily and overreached? He could do a lot if he wanted to. The face of this unseen being in his imagination was mysterious, confused and incomprehensible. Suddenly his eyes fell on the door of the room. There was half darkness in the room and there was a clicking sound from inside the door. He was very surprised. She used to close the door, but did not lock it from the inside so that the maid would not have to knock on the door. Someone had also broken the windows and closed them. While sleeping at night, she kept the windows open so that fresh air would come in. Then he saw that a 7-foot-tall creature came out from under the mushery and stood in front of him. As soon as he saw it, he was shocked. The body became pale. Blood began to freeze in the veins. He wanted to scream but his voice got stuck in his throat like a bullet. His body started shaking with fear. She fainted and fell on the bed. When he regained consciousness, he could not believe his eyes. He thought that she was not dreaming. She was immersed in a sea of wonder and insistence. She was so overwhelmed that she looked like an idol. From one reality another reality is born. He did not believe it. But it was not unbelievable. He had to believe. A tall and very handsome man was standing in front of her eyes. She was looking at him with wide eyes and forgot to blink. 2 decades later, his son's name was Harun. Whose blood was running in his son's veins? Whose child was he? If she confided in anyone, no one would believe her. Call him crazy. He was declared a psychiatric patient. Because this matter was as strange and incomprehensible as it was mysterious. Anyone listening would say that she is telling a fabricated story to cover up her blackness and misbehavior. Those 3 nights of her life, which she could never forget and could not forget till her last breath. Even after years passed, it seemed and felt like it was yesterday. Like a strange, mysterious and terrifying dream. If Ferris had not been born, she would have considered it a dream, but it was a terrible reality that could not be denied under any circumstances. The father informed Harun about all the secrets of business and earning wealth. The intelligent son also learned all this very quickly. Harun was the owner of a dual personality. He was also a top businessman like his father. His wealth was estimated in billions. His business prowess was recognized and followed by his rivals and enemies. Ferris thought that was the other side of his personality. Even his mother who gave birth to him does not know about it. But this was his thought, his illusion and idea. His mother knew all. But his mother never let it appear on him. His mother had buried a very terrible secret in her chest. She wanted to return from this world with this secret in her chest. No one knew this secret except him. He bit his lips. This was his improvement and so was his son's. But she knew one thing and believed that crime is crime. No matter how carefully the crime is done, it does not hide, crime speaks. It leaves its mark. And a criminal dies only by bringing him to the role of a scapegoat. His son who is the owner of a mysterious and ferocious personality. Why is he who drinks Nizani blood with pleasure like wine and water? He used to have a strong feeling of how big a mistake he made in his life when his son was born. Why didn't he strangle his son? Why didn't he end the existence of this little one? Who stopped him? His father considered him as his son and his own blood. When he finished his education, the father took his son into the business. To be continued.